My overall takeaway is these were two angry young men, not just Karmelo, Austin too. And
evidence that never made it in front of the jury in Karmelo Anthony's trial is now public, and there is a lot of it. And the reason we're hearing it now is Anthony is trying to get his conviction thrown out and get a new trial.
It happened, yes. They were also disciplined at home. They had an incident with some spray paint. And they even said to the police officer, yeah, we did some dumb stuff, we did some vandalism. Well, I had a little bit more harsher words when they got to my house and got home.
Now, I respect that. Karmelo Anthony's parents went on an interview and there was no ownership.
Everything we've noticed, a lot of things about the boys that wasn't sent out to the public. You agree? Mm-hmm. Based on what was told, the narrative, it hurt us, man. It just made us.
Internal sources allege Frisco ISD tampered with graduation documents to award Karmelo Anthony a diploma, a federal offense. For the last week, it is starting to look worse and worse for the situation with Karmelo Anthony. As in the 35 years he got, it is looking like he actually got a deal with that. There was more information that has came out as of today about possible faking school records on Karmelo Anthony's behalf. Stay tuned, Fugitive TV. Welcome to Fugitive TV. I am your host, Ray Marcel. And what we do here is we take a look at cases of anybody that's missing individuals, true crime, any unsolved crime, and we give it a deeper dive and also sometimes a different type of perspective. See, I can give you a different perspective because I was once a fugitive on the run from the law myself. I actually ran for 15 years, living in different countries under different names. Then I eventually turned myself in. Now I have this YouTube channel. Hey, I help people locate missing individuals. I even help them locate fugitives that have done something horrific to a family member because I know what it takes to pretty much be on the run. I've done it for so long and I was successful at it. Well, we are talking about Karmelo Anthony, all right? So I've done a couple videos or a few videos on Karmelo Anthony. I've actually received a lot of backlash. I remember the first video, one of the first videos I did on Karmelo Anthony. At that time, when I do these cases, I reach out to both sides, both parties, okay? I reach out to both opposing parties, if you want to call it. And when I reach out, I let them know, hey, they can contact me via phone number, email, whatever they feel. But I leave my forms of contact. So I contacted Metcalf's family. I believe it was Jeff. Now Jeff, I don't think ever responded, which is fine. A lot of people don't respond, especially around that time, because you got to think they have so many people contacting them, right? So you have stations like CNN, Fox, CBS, NBC, all these big name stations, TMZ contacting them. So of course they're going to look at them first before they look at me. So I totally understand. And I also contacted Anthony's camp on that side. And I didn't get a call back or anything like that, I think for like a couple months. And eventually I got a call. And when I got this call, it was from somebody that I didn't even know who they were. And they pretty much offered me, they said, hey, if you can talk about this and talk about that and not talk about this and not talk about that, there'll be some benefits for you. Well, eventually I ended up turning it down because here we report the truth, and here it's all about integrity. No, that's not the way I work. I don't work off narratives and nothing like that. Because one of my first videos I did on this, if you go back and look, I reported that Karmelo had trouble back in Louisiana. I reported that. I was probably one of the first people to report that. And before anybody else did, people were commenting on my channel, oh, you're lying and lying and things like that, whatever, right? So Whatever. Fast forward to today. Now, we all know the situation with Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf, okay? Karmelo Anthony was at a track meet in Texas last year, went under a tent that wasn't his, and the tent was a school, like a team tent. It was a track meet, right? So he went under a team's tent that wasn't his. Austin Metcalf approached him and said he had to leave the tent. Instead of leaving, Karmelo pulled out a weapon, and this is how Austin Metcalf lost his life. All it took was one jab to the chest, penetrated his heart, and Austin Metcalf unfortunately passed away. And we always heard these narratives of Austin Metcalf attacked him. Karmelo did not mean to do anything like that. Karmelo ran out the tent, ran to a coach's arms. All kind of stuff was going on, right? Video came out. And when the video came out, it told a little more, but still not a lot. It showed Karmelo running out the tent. He didn't run into a coach's arms. That didn't happen. He was running away, and a coach had to block him. So, but even though we got the video, we still never realized exactly what happened under the tent. Was Austin the aggressor? Because on the Karmelo side, people were saying Austin was the aggressor and things like that. And Karmelo was just defending himself. This was the narrative that was being pushed out to us. Now, I'm on record. I have my own videos from what, and you go back and see. I said from the beginning, I said Karmelo Anthony should get at least charged, and I got to watch my language on YouTube, slaughter. Okay? He should at least get 15 years. That was my original thought on this whole case. And the reason why I said that was because, one, he had a weapon at a school track meet. School. We're not talking about no pickup basketball game at the park. We're talking about a school track meet. If anybody brings a weapon in a school zone, think about it, guys. Have you ever been caught speeding in a school zone? It's double the penalty. It's harsh the penalty. Matter of fact, for anybody who sells narcotics, they will tell you, don't sell it in a school zone. It's double the penalty. So he brought a knife to a school zone, school track meet, school property. And that alone right there was federally against the law. Yes, I know the law, you're allowed to have a weapon when you reach a certain age. We know that. Just like you're allowed to have pistols at a certain age. But does that mean you get to bring them to school? A school zone? Let's use common knowledge and common sense right here. If Karmelo would have never had that weapon, Austin would be alive today. Now, when I was growing up, because the whole narrative was Austin pushed him. Oh, he put his hands on me, and this is what I had to do. When I was growing up, somebody pushed you, you just push them back. You fight. If that's what it comes down, to it, you use these. But nowadays, we're raising a bunch of sissies. I said it. And people don't want to do that. Now, you shouldn't have to do that. The correct response would be to just walk away. First of all, it's not your tent. It's not your tent. It's not your team's tent. Just walk away. Hey, none of this would have never happened. Karmelo would be free today. Possibly Austin will be alive. Now, during this week, text messages have came out. Now, I reported a video on this already. Text messages, all kind of stuff has came out on Karmelo and Anthony's side, which makes them both look bad. And I believe there's a 20-page report on Austin's side, which I'm going to run down real quick. On Austin's side, I believe he was suspended from school. He used racial slurs with graffiti on a wall, which none of this is cool. Had a report of him punching a girl in the face. So a lot of the stuff, of course, all of it It's not cool. It's not. Now, as far as dates and timelines, it looked like a lot of the stuff was years ago on Austin's side. So we don't know if he started to change or anything. Now, we do know that he was put into a program. That was in the page report too. So he was put into some sort of a counseling program. So it looks like the parents or somebody was trying to get this kid to change. Now, on Karmelo's side, he had a bunch of things, which we're going to take a look at these text messages, all right? Not only do you have text messages of violence, I first reported to you guys when I first started doing this case, he got in trouble in Louisiana, where he's originally from, or where he's from. I don't know if he's born there, but he got suspended from school, all right? A lot of people didn't believe me when I told you guys this. Now look, now it's coming out. It's coming out. Can I get a sorry? I apologize, Ray Marcel. So he got suspended from school. He also likes punching girls in the face, okay? He's also made racial slurs as well and threatened his girlfriend. Some of this stuff is recently, so we're going to take a look at this. And not only that, Sarah Fields, which we're going to take a look at, has reason to report that officials might have faked or doctored his school transcripts to make it appear as if he got a diploma. Watch this. Let's take a look. So the first two text messages on top are from November 17, 2021. Same day, actually. One, he's actually given his girlfriend notes pretty much of what to say when somebody approaches her, okay? And he's telling her to say, hey, my boyfriend deletes people, Kill, takes people out, all right? The second one he's describing, and he says, basically, and I said the name Vicky, and she tried to start hitting me. I was running till she pulled my hair, and she started hitting me, so I punched her in the face, all right? Now we have the exact same day, but a few hours later, in the middle text messages. Now this is a few hours later. He was fighting. I hit him in the face so hard he had to stop fighting. Now, we don't know if this is the same incident or two different incidents in the same day. That part we're not getting clarification on, but he's talking about punching two different people in the face, all right? Now, we have December 23rd, 2023. Okay? Not too much long, not 2.5 years ago. He says, when I get mad, I see red. When I get mad, I black out. When I get mad, I can't control myself. All right? Those two messages right there would have been very damaging if they would have been brought up in court. This one right here is from 2024, October. All right. Now this one says, when I stab, I'm going to lick the person's blood off the blade. Now, we don't have the full context behind his text messages, but you'd be shocked at what some people are saying about this message right here. Now, all you got to do is go on Facebook and you'll see people defending Karmelo Anthony left and right. And this is what some people are saying about the lick the blood off the blade. All right. It says those racist people are trying to pull every card possible to not own up to the truth. What they didn't tell you matters. One of the text messages being discussed included Karmelo Anthony talking about poking somebody and licking the blood off the blade. But context matters, which she's right. Context does matter. But it goes on to say, the particular conversation was connected to the video game Call of Duty. Several of the messages may sound disturbing when you read them by themselves, but this specific exchange was part of what was described as a roast while gaming. So now the goalpost is moving. He puts will lick the blood off the blade. Now people are saying that came from Call of Duty. I've been playing Call of Duty since Call of Duty 1. I'm probably one of the OGs at playing Call of Duty. I've been playing Call of Duty since the very first Call of Duty. And not once have I ever seen that in the game. Not one time. Now, the post did go on to say this was a roast while playing. So what, lick the... I've never even heard nobody say that. Now, let me show you what this says right here. The phrase about licking the blood off the blade is not an official quote, achievement, or mechanic from the Call of Duty video game. So if anybody tells you that that quote came from Call of Duty, like came from the game itself, no, it did not. Like I said, I do not remember seeing that at all. Now, I haven't played it in about a year or two because I'm always too busy, but I do know, I was like, I've never seen that in the game. Now, instead, this phrase recently gained widespread public attention because it was entered as evidence in a real world Texas unaliving trial. Now, it says the case. The phrase comes from recovered text messages sent by Karmelo Anthony, a teenager convicted of, we all know what happened with Austin Metcalf in Collin County, Texas. The defense's argument during the motion for a new trial, the defense team argued that the violent messages where Anthony talked about stabbing someone and licking the blood off the blade was being taken out of context. They claimed the message was actually sent while he was playing a Call of Duty and participating in a trash talk or a roast with other gamers online. Now, I will say, when you play Call of Duty, there is a function, where your man could take out a knife and do things to the other opponent's player, There's no quote being said. Now, was he trash talking during that? Here would be my question. You do a lot of trash talking. That is true. But back up 1 minute. Here's my question to that. If you're playing Call of Duty, let's say this is my controller. All right. Whether it's Xbox, whether it's PS2, or even on a computer, you still most likely have a controller in your hand playing Call of Duty. Call of Duty is a fast-paced game. You're always got to move your man, dodging and everything else, target him. It's a warfare game. Most people have a headset on, talking, trash talking with their headset. Why would you need to put your controller down to pick up the phone and text somebody if they're playing the same game as you? Why would you need to pick up or put your controller down to pick up your phone to text somebody that, if that is what you're doing, if they're playing the same game as you? Why not say it right here through the headpiece? Not only that, Xbox, PS5, whatever it is you're playing on, they also have messaging systems built in the game. So it's so much easier just to click over to the messaging system and message them that, if that's what you're doing. So why would you text somebody that? That would be my question, and I wish somebody would have answered that, but Karmelo never took the stand, so I guess we'll never know. Now, a few other text messages that were actually presented during the appeal process was racial slurs that Karmelo made. He actually made racial slurs towards Black women. All right. And then what he said was, I effing despise Black bees, all the wig glue getting to their brains, and them effing need to pretty much not be alive anymore. We also have taken account that the reason why he's probably saying this is because Karmelo's girlfriend was not Black. I believe she's Spanish. I'm not sure, but she's not Black. She's Spanish. Now, I don't know if it's still her girlfriend, his girlfriend. And then speaking of the girlfriend, the day of the track meet, when everything happened, he was text messaging her and threatening her that very same day. And it was so bad, she had to go to her principal, or the assistant principal, I believe, or vice principal, and let them know, hey, Karmelo is threatening me. So all of this was brought out in court during the appeal process, and I see why they denied it. Now, some more stuff has came out, thanks to Sarah Fields. Let me show you what she has found. Now, this is from Sarah Fields on X. She has been doing an excellent job of reporting on everything. She's actually got a lot of backlash. for reporting on the Karmelo Anthony trial. But she puts, internal sources allege Frisco ISD tampered with graduation documents to award Karmelo Anthony a diploma, a federal offense. It says school officials were warned about his threatening behavior hours before Austin Metcalf's death. Did Frisco ISD fail the Metcalf family yet again? Could a lawsuit be next? Let's refresh. Over the past year and a half, I have reported extensively on the fact that Frisco ISD failed the Metcalf family miserably. And now it was revealed at the Karmelo Anthony hearings on the motions for a new trial and recusal that Frisco ISD not only failed them again, but could potentially be held responsible for Austin's preventable death, which occurred on April 2nd, 2025. All right. Not long after Austin's death, I reported that Megan Metcalf repeatedly emailed the school and asked them to not allow Karmelo to graduate. He should have been expelled for bringing a knife to school. Once again, the knife to school, because he's brought weapons to school in the past. This is not his first time. He should have been expelled for bringing a knife to school and then proceeding to unalive someone on school grounds. It is an upfront to all moral standards that Frisco ISD did not punish Karmelo for deleting Austin, all right? Now, this part right here. School officials were warned about his threatening behavior hours before Austin Metcalf's death. Remember, I told you, the girlfriend went and reported the messages to the vice principal before the track meet took place. So the school is what she's saying, what Sarah's saying, the school should have took some responsibility and not allowed Karmelo even at the track meet. Meaning, should he have even been there in the first place? If you're sending somebody death threats, because one of the death threats actually in text message was how many bullets you want coming out your chest, to his own girlfriend, by the way. So if he's sending this to his own girlfriend and the girlfriend is mad, or not mad, but the girlfriend is scared and has to go to the vice principal to show them this, do you think they should have took that more seriously? And do you think they should have alerted officials at the track meet, hey, Karmelo can't be there today. Something is going on with him. Now, you mix that, put that together with his past text message from 2 or 3 years ago, where he admitted saying, when I get mad, I see red. When I get mad, I black out. Think about that. He just admitted to that 3 years ago. And then you have him today threatening his girlfriend. How many bullets do you want through your chest? He's mad. He sees red. He can black out. So you got to think about this. And this is why I say he is lucky he only got 35 years. Why did he only get 35 years? I will explain after I read the rest of this. Not long after Austin's death, we already read that. Now it says, why didn't the school do anything? Why? Why didn't the school stop Karmelo from getting his diploma or going to that school to begin with? I mean, after everything happened. Because they allowed themselves to be intimidated by race-baiting activists like Dominique Alexander and the Freedom Legal Fund. Dominique Alexander was the spokesperson for the Karmelo Anthony family. I don't know if he still is. Dominique Alexander has a past himself, guys, which is not good. In my last video about the Siders, I explained. There's certain things you just don't do. You don't touch individuals who can't defend themselves. Women, children, handicap, all of them. Well, Dominic Alexander crossed that line. Okay? I pulled up his record in the past. I shouldn't have to pull it up now. I pulled it up in the past. He went to jail for abusing somebody, a little one, somebody underage. That was Dominique Alexander. All right. The school took a month to respond to the mother of the deceased Austin Metcalf, and when they finally did respond, It was a callous copy paste of their school policy with zero empathy or regret for what had happened to her son. I obtained copies of all these emails. If anyone wants to read them, I also obtained copies of the emails from Dominic Alexander and the Freedom Legal Fund, who threatened to hold protests if the school did not comply. I have an internal source to inform me that for the reason there was an agreement to allow Karmelo to graduate is because Karmelo allegedly had not fulfilled all the requirements necessarily to graduate high school. According to my source, District Attorney Esther Colony negotiated an agreement with career criminal activist Dominic Alexander and the Anthony family under which Karmelo was not expelled and was ultimately awarded a diploma, despite not completing his required coursework. Okay? You guys hear this? She said, according to my source, District Attorney Esther negotiated an agreement with the career criminal and activist Dominic Alexander and the Anthony family under which Karmelo was not expelled and was ultimately awarded a diploma despite not completing his required coursework. Even more concerning, my source told me in an hour-long interview that government documents may have been tampered with or improperly completed to make it appear as though Karmelo had satisfied graduation requirements that he not actually completed. I am told administrators were instructed to approve graduation records without documentation showing how certain state graduation requirements had been met. Also, according to my source, knowledge of the alleged irregularities involving these records is not limited to one person. Several administrative employees are aware of what occurred, including Esther Colony. If records were altered, falsified, or improperly approved to award a diploma to a student who had not met Texas graduation requirements, that deserves immediate, thorough investigation by the TEA. Sadly, my source has made it clear that they do not want to be identified since Frisco ISD is known for retaliation, a statement that was not surprising to me. Frisco ISD also failed numerous parents after their children's private information was subpoenaed by the defense. But the school did not inform the parents until just a few days before they were required to turn the information over. Wow. Fortunately, I was able to obtain copies of these subpoenas via open records requests. They had been sent to the school weeks earlier, but the school did not feel it necessary to inform parents until just a couple days before the deadline. This is what triggered the need for a protective order, among other reasons. The school is required to make a reasonable effort to notify parents if the school is a minor before complying the subpoena. The school never did. I spoke with several parents in the Frisco ISD regarding this. Now, if this is true, then there are some federal offenses that have been done. As far as Esther, I looked up Esther. Esther is actually the general counsel for Frisco Independent School District. That's what Frisco ISD is. So she is the general counsel. I tried to look up to see if I could find any connections going on with her and let's say the spokesperson for the Anthony family. I haven't found anything yet, but I am still looking. I also reached out to Sarah if she can actually send me the emails that she actually got. So I'm hoping to hear back from her. Hopefully she'll send those out to me. And there's also a part 2 of her post. Let's continue here so I can show you. Now it says the school also allowed convicted PDF files to view footage of the students via ORR. However, this is a dark loophole in Texas law, and we will be working to fix this in the next Texas legislative session. Interesting. And it says now to the present day. During a hearing, it was revealed that Centennial High School assistant principal Cam Cole was told by a student on April 2nd, 2025, that she was allegedly threatened and harassed by Karmelo Anthony. This was the girlfriend. Hours before, Austin Metcalf unfortunately passed away. It was shown during the hearing that Karmelo had allegedly sent texts threatening violence along with photo of a knife to his ex-girlfriend. This was not new behavior. According to the evidence presented at the hearing, it can be traced back to 2021 when Karmelo was only 13, 14. Now, we've already talked about that. Prosecutors said Karmelo Anthony repeatedly threatened to take out his girlfriend and text messages. And we talked about the bullets. You remember? We talked about that. Now, she goes on to say about the licking from the blade. Now, from the screenshots I did see, that was from a few years ago. I don't believe that was the same day. All right. Now, Karmelo was allowed to attend the high school track meet as if all was well. In the ticking time bomb that Karmelo came to heed. Now, it does say, records show that Cole is still working for Frisco ISD. In fact, just weeks after the situation, Cole posted an X thanking Frisco ISD for the opportunity to attend the Region 10 Assistant Principals Leadership Academy. Frisco ISD knew. They knew that Karmelo Anthony had a violent past that went back and forth for years. He even admitted at one point that he had even warned and threatened with expulsion, yet he never was. Do not ever tell me again that Karmelo was not privileged and the Frisco ISD should not be sued. And this was the picture that Sarah Fields is talking about that was posted on X right after that situation happened at the track meet. Now, the one thing I am going to agree with, if the principal or the school knew about this behavior and then knew, which they did, that the girlfriend reported, hey, he's sending me these threats, and you guys got this track meet going on, something should have been done. It should have been stopped. He should not have been allowed to track meet. That could have saved possibly Karmelo from where he's at now, and it could have saved Austin and his family's grief. It could have saved a lot if the school possibly would have stepped in or could have stepped in and stopped, hey, Karmelo can't be at the track meet. Something's going on with him. Now, I will tell you, after looking through all these text messages and everything else, now, if you don't know, the reason why this stuff was not brought up in the initial trial, because there was a gentleman's agreement between Karmelo Anthony's lawyer and the district attorney, or the prosecution, I should say, in the trial. The gentleman's agreement was not to bring up past character in trial, which before we knew this, I always wondered, why did Karmelo Anthony not take the stand? And I always blamed his lawyer. I always said his lawyer must be trash. He must be not good. But now, since all this is coming out, I take that back. I see his lawyer did not have much to work with. He didn't. Because if all this would have came out in trial, Karmelo might be looking at life, 99. He might have got the full 99. Because I told you earlier, I'm thinking 15 years. That's what he probably should have got. But now that I see this, I'm like, oh no. There is a violent past. And not only is there a violent past, he admits to blacking out. Not only that, that same day, he's sending threatening text messages to his girlfriend. How do we know he wasn't going to do nothing to her? So obviously, this kid has an anger. He's got a rage in him from somewhere. We don't know if it's from childhood. We don't know if this happened at home. And not only that, court documents also revealed that Karmelo did not get a chance to discuss the violence that he witnessed at home. So what was the violence at home that was going on? I would love to hear that. But I could see why they didn't put him on a stand, because if they would have put him on a stand, it would have been over with, because the prosecution would have asked him about his past and brought up those records. Now, yes, Austin had a past too. We can't sit here and say he didn't. We cannot sit here and say he didn't. The one thing I can say is Austin's was a while ago. I can't say that. And not only that, in his records, it did show that he was going to some sort of therapy or counseling, some sort of program. And his page is only 20 to 25 pages. Karmelo's was 75. And his was just as recent as that day. If that situation would have never happened at the track meet, Karmelo Anthony was already headed for self-destruction. He was already headed to jail. He was already headed to prison by the way he was doing. Austin possibly could have. Yes. I'm not saying no. But like I said, I will say that there was some sort of, they had him in a program, I guess. Now, both of these kids were young. They were. Both of them were young. I know I'm not the same person from when I was that age. I'm not the same person when I was 25, 26. I'm not the same person when I was 30. So I know a person will change. But what I can say is that anger that was built up in Karmelo, if that was not taken care of, it would have taken care of himself. And this is why conflict resolution skills must come into play. Now, I will say one thing about Austin Metcalf's dad. His dad was on an interview just recently, sat down, he was talking about his foundation, where he's actually trying to improve the lives of others with the foundation that he's doing, with trying to teach conflict resolution skills. He also took ownership and about what he's done and also what Austin's done.
Obviously, both sides had agreed to this gentleman's agreement to keep character out of what was happening that day. I wasn't made aware of this until almost at the end of the trial. Then they proceeded to go all the way back to fourth grade and started to dig up every single bit of any school records, police records, whatever, from fourth grade on. They had an incident at school, playing a game. It happened, yes. They were also disciplined at home. They had an incident with some spray paint. And they even said to the police officer, yeah, we did some dumb stuff, we did some vandalism. Well, I had a little bit more harsher words when they got to my house and got home, because they were definitely disciplined. And I said, this is not behavior that I condone. You know it, you're gonna suffer consequences for this behavior. You know, both my boys, yeah, did they have mouths on them? Unfortunately, yes, they did. But so do most teenagers growing up. Because here's something everybody's forgetting. Austin and Hunter, they're not on trial. They're not convicted of a crime. They didn't someone. But yet you want to attack their character? You better look in the mirror and check yourself. Dr. Carter, he's helping me make the change. I know everybody says, how's this work? He's black and white. Because neither him nor I see color. This is what we see right there. Red. We all bleed the same.
Now, I respect that. Karmelo Anthony's parents went on an interview with Willie D Live, and you can go watch that interview. And there was no ownership. None whatsoever. It was all blaming Austin. All blaming Austin. That's all it was.
Everything we've noticed, a lot of things about the boys that wasn't sent out to the public. You agree? Mm-hmm. Based on what was told, the narrative, it hurt us, man. It just made us.
Damn, the dude had a penchant for fighting, for violence.
Yes.
Very, very
never
violent.
Put out there.
Yeah, like smacking on his friends or so-called friends, smacking on
wordings he was using.
On mama.
Yeah, that threw me off.
Know?
I mean, your mama? I said, man, you got to be different.
Yeah, this kid right here, like he was a real problem.
They lied on us. We bought cars. We spent the money. We did all this thing. And think about it, they doing the same thing in Oakland. Yeah. Attack their jobs. It's if people don't see this is it's like they have a playbook. Mm-hmm. Oh, this was going on? All right, it's the play. And everybody knows.
Now, the one thing I will say is everything I've been through and with my past and everything, I've learned one thing. Take accountability. Take ownership. People will respect you. People will like you a lot more if you just have integrity, take ownership, man up. I did it. I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. I apologize, and I'm willing to correct what I have done. It's when you make excuses and you don't take ownership for what you've done, when people will look at you funny and look at you side-eyed. And I believe that's what's wrong with a lot of people today. There is no ownership. There's no accountability. Hey, Ray Marcel, I said it. You guys, let me know what you think about all this, all right? Please comment below. Let me know. Do you think the school is responsible, or should they be held have some sort of accountability for what have happened? If they knew about the incidents of Karmelo threatening a girlfriend before the track meet, should they have not allowed him at the track meet? Could this have saved Austin's life? Could it have saved Karmelo from going to jail? That day, anyway. Could that have prevented a lot of things? And what do you think about the doctoring of the requirements of Karmelo Anthony getting a diploma? Do you think somebody did doctor this up? And why would they? I'm still looking into this. So please, guys, stay tuned. Like, subscribe, comment below what you think. Please look out at one another. Take care of one another. And please go to the X. Please go follow Fugitive TV on X. Please go to the Facebook, like Fugitive TV on Facebook. Look out at your surroundings. Watch your surroundings. Until next time, this is Fugitive TV, and I'm out.